welcome to episode number 1 of Frenemies. My name is Julia Hartwig. I live and breathe digital marketing, and I'm talking with
Ahmet Albayrak from Istanbul, and my blood is like sales in my blood, and I am the sales guy of this show.
Yes. So for this episode, we're talking about the basics. What is marketing and what is sales and what are they all about? I brought some definitions of what I think sales is, and Ahmed brought some definitions of what he thinks marketing is. Let's rip each other's hearts out and talk a bit of truth.
Yes, and first definition comes from me. Marketing people are who are using the words SEO, digital channels, copywriting, keywords, and growth hacking a lot, and does nothing with it.
I'm not gonna lie, that hurt a bit.
Yeah, we are going to. It's frenemies at the end, I like you. That don't understand me wrong, but it's the truth. Yeah, come on.
Yes, I mean, I can't shy away from the fact that we do love buzzwords in marketing. You see it all over, and I think you catch yourself using them a lot as well. Like, it's really difficult not to talk SEO, growth hacking, demand generation, lead generation, and all of those things. So there's definitely some truth in it. I mean, when it comes to there's nothing with it, I mean, that truly depends on the approach. And I guess today we're in a world in marketing where I think there's a big shift, but generally people forget about the basics and the foundation they have to build and go to those buzzwords and think, okay, now I do some keyword, now I do some SEO and I drive impact. But without having the basics, you're not going to achieve anything, at least not on the long-term scale. You might have some short peaks, but you're not going to really, get the impact you want, especially for sales and when it comes down to bottom, right?
Yeah. What I'm also asking, do you think also, it's like marketing with all these buzzwords, they also forget about, the people they are human beings, they are not like, hey, when we use this word, it will drive a lot of traffic. It's not like things, it's like they will be controlled by something. They are human beings, actually. I'm curious, what do you think about it?
I think you just pointed out a massive difference between sales and marketing, because obviously in marketing we're aware we're talking to people, but at the end of the day we're not talking to one person. That is what you do. We talk in quantities, right? Because when we do an email, we might put in personalizations, but generally we're talking to hundreds, thousands of people. Through social media, we talk to a lot of people. Yeah. So everything we build is kind of in the mass, and we don't get this direct feedback. Yeah. And with that, a lot of times I do think we marketers tend to forget that it's people. And actually what the personal experience is of someone visiting your website, reading a blog post, interacting with a LinkedIn post. I think we definitely, or at least there's the risk to forget that, because you always think of the quantities and you kind of send that message out to the quantities and you don't sit and talk to that actual person.
No. And one last question, what I see, for example, when you said blog posts, everything is the same. It's like, here is the 10 thing that you don't need to forget when you buy, I don't know, XYZ tools, or when you are in sales, something like this. Does these titles actually work? Because when I research about anything, it comes up with tons of these similar articles, and they are like, they don't give me the feeling that, it's like I'm actually reading something valuable. They're like, just take some tools out there, they just put the backlink and all that stuff. And do they actually work?
I mean, it's a very difficult general question for me to answer. But I think right now we're in a very interesting spot when it comes to content. Because I mean, the market is insanely saturated. I mean, you find all types of content in all different formats on every topic. So I think it's, on the one hand, really, really difficult to differentiate yourself.
Yeah,
and on the other hand, what a lot of people forget about content is content and copywriting, yes, is a skill. It's an art, but also it's based on formulas. It is actually very objective of what the brain reacts to. And obviously, like, the skills and the knowledge level is there where we all look back at those, what works, and then build it based on that. And that to the core hasn't changed. So, I mean, I tend to like titles like the top 9 tips for this and that as well. Like, you fall into this trap, and then again, you need to think about, but it's a person reading this. It's not just 1,000 different people, it's a person. And will that person actually find what they're looking for? Will this title actually work for the person? And I mean, that comes really down to the topic, what you're trying to achieve. So, I mean, I do think, of course, those formulas and how titles are built, yes, they work. But again, do they work on a bottom level? Does somebody actually afterwards think higher of your brand or think, wow, that was a super interesting article, and it's not the title that's going to change that?
What I also see, in the last few days, the chat OpenAI is really famous, and I made them write some articles, and can you write me SEO based article about what is outsourced sales? And it did a really good job, I was really surprised, and I was like, why should people need a marketer for that? It will take your job away from you, right? In the future.
I'm not scared. AI, come at me. It's fine. No, but I had this conversation this week as well, because again, I mean, if you believe that copywriting and content is like formula based on like what works, and obviously AI can produce that. So of course, on the SEO side it works, but again, also there things are changing, and SEO and how SEO should be done isn't the same as just years ago. People just don't go around and search for keywords anymore. They search in a different way. They use Google in a different way. They find solutions and buy differently. So I think right now it's having a hype, and probably a lot of companies are going to invest in it, and that's fine. But I don't think it's going to solve problems for the long run, because you can't forget the human factor, the brand factor, because that is at the end what differentiates different solutions. If the 3 same products buy a lot of articles written by an AI, are they gonna have differentiation, or is it just gonna follow the same? So where are people gonna know this is product 1 versus product 2?
It's like I'm actually doing to you from the beginning of the show some SDRing, just asking some discovery questions.
True.
Let's stay on the topic. I make you talk. It's like I'm just asking a question, generic question, just hear your answer. Find the pain points. At the end, I will offer you a product for marketing, I will try to sell to you.
Yes, but getting you talking more, my first definition of sales is a legal way to stalk people digitally until they get tired of saying no and give up and say yes.
Yes, in most cases. Actually, I don't blame directly salespeople for that. The whole system is actually based on this. I don't know why nobody thinks about that before. It's like there is an upper management, especially for startups, tech companies, their model is hyper growth or die. As you can see from the recent layoffs, they hired unnecessary too many people, and then after 1 or 2 ticks, they let them go. They're like playing with people's lives. I'm not saying direct. Of course, there are also human beings. There can be some mistakes out there, but at the end, it happened before and before. 2008, 2000. It's like there are lots of examples on there. But anyway, the thing is, people want more sales, right? You have a product, you have a solution, you want more. People think, in order to get more, they should do more. But the more doesn't mean actually more. It is not that qualified. They just try to push their, for example, sales directors Sales director pushes. SDR managers pushes. SDRs and SDRs pushes. CEOs, C levels, again, it's like any kind of manager is, under attack from SDRs, bombarded with emails and, it's like all that other stuff, cold calls again and again. Do not think it's a personal phone. No matter what, it's like just call them until you get the yes, because they are pushed to do that. And they have also a monthly quota. Having a monthly quota, it's actually psychologically really disturbing thing. Even you hit, for example, I hit my quota 4 or 5 times in row, but every time, it's like when the countdown sets to 0, it's like, dude, can I do this again? What should I do? It will not work, because I'm using my own methodology in a way, sales fellowshipping, as you know. And every time, every week, first month it worked. Second month it worked. Third month it worked. Fourth month, oh God, it will not work this time. It will not work. I get such an anxiety, but I cannot let it beat me because it's like when I hesitate to something, when I have an anxiety, I can't communicate with people. This is also the other problem.
But do you feel like that exactly this spot of like having this fear of, oh my God, am I going to be able to hit it again, drives you there as well, where you feel like more creates more?
In most cases, yes. People think more will bring more. So they think, it's like instead of writing 100 personalized email, going more to become more specialized, go just write in generalized email, boom, send it to, 200 people a day, 100 people a day. And then you have to call people, you have to reach out via LinkedIn and all that stuff. And they just, it's like endlessly trying to be, without actually trying to get, understand you and to have an empathy. They don't know what you do. As, for example, a marketing manager, what does marketing manager do? Or they don't also question, is the ICP right? Did I clearly identify my ideal customer profile? They don't, because they're SDRs, entry level. They don't have to think about that. They should actually, the management should think about that. But they just attack everywhere, trying to reach out to everyone, and it creates a lot of noise. At the end, the good guys get screamed on the phone, actually, because I met a lot of salespeople. I am in the salespeople all the time. And they are so nice guys, and they tell me stories, how they get screamed. It really hurts them also, They can say, I can understand from their eyes, it's like they can say, hey, I don't care about it anymore, but you care, it's like because you're a human being, you have a dignity, right? You have an ego, and you have to keep that intact, everything intact. You're trying to do that, but that's why while the system has a big problem right now, when I go into the sales field, I see like crazy people like gladiators, about everywhere, 100 gladiators in an arena. Everyone is fighting to get some 10 minutes of attention of some decision maker.
One thing I'm thinking about as well is just, again, being like contacted by a lot of salespeople. All of this technology and sales having, of course, way more technology out there has made you guys way more efficient, but also able to reach out to way more people through a variety of channels. So do you actually feel like that this is an advantage, or just looking at the general of what it does to people, that it's a disadvantage?
Yeah.
Because being on the receiving end, I find it to be a disadvantage because all of a sudden you get contacted on 5 different platforms. And that's really difficult to handle as on the receiving end.
It's an advantage, but it gives you an area of misusage, right? It's like because you can do, it's like multi-channel approach, do every channel at once. Dude, wait, it's like chill. Because you have to understand, it's a human being in front of you that you can't see. You just see the picture on LinkedIn or something, but they have lives, they have some problems. Maybe when they didn't reply to your email, it could be because they have some urgent issue. For example, I called the company. It was company's phone, and I talked to the gatekeeper, so secretary, and she told me that head of sales, she recently become mother, so she's on maternity leave. Then I realized, what I'm doing. It's like, because I saw that on our system we have her mobile number as well, and when I have it, believe me, everyone has it, and I can, imagine that she's having her newborn baby. It's like it could cry all the time, because.
She hasn't slept in 3 weeks.
And at the same time, the phone rings. She wants to, because she's head of sales. She's needed all the time. At least I think she gives 1 or 2 hours maybe to the work. It's like she receives, I don't know, 50 calls, some messages, I don't know, emails and all that stuff. She doesn't need that. But in order to, I'm not blaming salespeople on that specific. They can know that, but we need to think all the necessary outcomes are here. I'm a relationship builder. I'm not a seller. I'm always telling them I'm selling, of course, but before that, I built relationships. It gives me the opportunity to, for example, I changed companies. No problem. I can still contact HRs that I know, people that I know, and I can ask them, hey, can you help me with this? And easily, without any cold call, any LinkedIn outreach or something else. I can easily directly say, hey, we have this product. Can can we arrange a demo? They would say yes, And the empathy skills, they're always, you can see it on LinkedIn posts, it's like LinkedIn salespeople should have empathy. There's no empathy out there. Anyway, I want to keep it short, but I'm really full with this stuff. That's why I want to create sales fellowship for this. Just make it sales outreach more respectful, more human. Marketing people are who spends money for generalized company ads and generates not that much.
Could I just ask, what do you mean with generalized company ads?
The ads that everyone ignores. One day I just thought, what was the last time that I watched a LinkedIn ad? I can't remember. I never noticed it that, I just scrolled down a LinkedIn ad or something like this. And I asked people around, it's like, hey, what was the last time you watched a LinkedIn ad? LinkedIn has ads? It's like everyone's like,
Oh, this hurts.
marketing people still think what I'm thinking. It's like when we add some professional video with, it's like, it's like XYZ company is we have G2 review, 4.6. Woo, we are great. And we put some customers there, it's like, I think XYZ company is great and I'm happy to use it. Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. XYZ company. Sign in. Something like this. Always the ads.
Yeah, but I think it comes back to the same point that we talked about before on, titles of reports, blog posts, all of those things. Again, of course, over time, they kind of developed this magical formula of what works. So a lot of companies use that as an easy go-to. And we're again left in this spot as marketers having to try to figure out how you can differentiate yourselves and how you can actually create ads and just in general posts, because the same happens on posts coming from a company profile. You don't follow many companies, and even if you see their posts, you kind of just scroll over because you expect it to be branded very general content. So I'm just taking away from that a lot of the ads you see don't actually have the quality where they really speak to you and where you really feel like, okay, this is interesting. So it's on the marketing side about, figuring out what your spot is and allowing yourself also to stand out. Because there's, of course, this mechanism of kind of what you said earlier, like, oh, marketing, we have to be professional and we have to have this and that. But forgetting that you're still talking to people. It doesn't matter if you want to reach to C-level or, the top decision makers. Even CEOs are people. They have humor, they have pains, they are frustrated. So not saying that, everything needs to be super emotional, but definitely taking that into account and thinking about, okay, what about this ad should stand out? Because we're not the only ad they're going to see today.
Yeah, exactly. What I'm always picturing when I calling someone, he's a human being. When we all do the same things. I'm actually, in the companies in which I work with, I told the marketing people coming to me to, it's like change your LinkedIn headline. Why? Because we have created something for you, a generalized head LinkedIn banner. Why should I use it? Because everyone uses it. It's for brand awareness. Wow. Are we Adidas or it's like are we Mercedes? I don't know it. That it's like no, everyone does it. No, I will not. And they just literally told me that then you made a great job, but you put our logo in it. It's not made by us. Take that away. Take that logo away. Dude, I'm creating a brand awareness. People are coming to me and saying, "Hey, I want to work in your company as well." Even that I never mentioned my company, on my LinkedIn profile. So these are stuff that I don't like about marketing people.
And I get the frustration point there. I mean, I've had it several times in my career as well, for companies I worked for, where I was planning like cool partnerships with other brands and stuff like that, and then I get the feedback from the branding team of like, well, you know what, this is not a fit branding wise, which of course is frustrating because like it stands out and it's cool and you believe in the other company as well and you think together it could be really strong and a really cool campaign. So I get that this can be frustrating, but of course, like as a marketer, I mean, there are guidelines on the brand you need to have consistency on in the way you want your brand to be portrayed.
Yeah.
You want your logo to be placed and used and things like that. And it is a very fine line between of does it make sense to push this person of using exactly the template we created,
Yeah.
or them using their own template, and having the logo in there, even though we don't think it's 100% fit, but this is still somebody's LinkedIn
Yeah.
profile. This is
This
not
is the other thing,
something the company owns. And again, one part on brand consistency is also, I mean, the way you talk about the company, that is branding as well. When you just sit around and talk with friends about your experience you have working for a company, that is branding too. That is brand awareness as well. And other than actually creating a great like employer
Yeah.
atmosphere, there is not much they can do about it. Like, you can't control that other than just generally being a good employer, right? So, I mean, there are parts of it you can't control other than if you truly live by what you preach. And if your brand values, for example, are actually something that is lived by in the entire company,
Yeah.
in every team, then, that's the consistency and the awareness you need.
No, exactly. You know what I also discovered, for example, being on LinkedIn so active. Some companies, for example, it's remote, for example. It's like they are doing some fun stuff. It's like they're not like they're, for example, they for the remote hashtag when anyone uses something like it's like remote work is this, remote work is that, they are there. It's like they're there. Yeah, that's why we exist or something like this. Being having a it's like something like little cringe effect makes them more fun in a way and presents their brand. It creates much more brand awareness. We are now speaking about them. It's not our topic, but we are now speak about them. It came to my mind. There are some companies that are using it. I actually recommended it to our marketing department, but they not. I couldn't arrange a meeting even. It's like I couldn't see their
Well,
faces.
you
So
get to talk to me now. So, okay, the second definition
yeah,
of sales. Sales is the art of staying sane while being ghosted, stalled, and said no to every single day. Because I truly don't know how you do it. I couldn't do it.
yeah, yes. It's like it's another part actually. For example, yesterday I tried, I started calling people, and I did, it's like 39 calls every time, it's like no connects, no connects. At the last one, someone picked up, and she said, she's interested. In 1 week we will talk again and we will book a meeting. It's like because other than that, I just started, am I doing this job correctly? It's like, am I being a good SDR? Am I a good sales rep? Am I? I started questioning myself. But the other thing is, by reaching out to those people, getting every time getting rejected, getting ghosted, being ghosted is the worst thing in the world, because my outreach is based on personalization. It's so relevant. Everything is so relevant. You have to answer. It's like all that stuff, but I don't get anything. It's like LinkedIn video message, but it's not in a respectful term. It's like there are things between. Great email. It's like I tried first call. Then when I called, the guy told me, "Hey Ahmet, I know you. It's like I wanted to answer you, but I had a great important project." It's like, dude, yeah. In those cases, I will recommend to all decision makers, just write, "Hey, I have things to do. I will get back to you." It's like it will really create. When he would say that, "I will get back to you," I would literally wait 2 weeks. It's like just without writing or contacting in any other by video, LinkedIn or something else. I would definitely wait. But when I don't get an answer, I'm get crazy. I'm thinking like, what is he doing actually right now? It could be a project. Maybe, but she's not out of office. Okay, what else could be? It's like, I'm just imagining the situation, the possible situation. Does she? She doesn't love my outreach. Oh,
But you know what? I think you said something very interesting there that connects marketing and sales very much, because on your end, you're like, oh my God, such great messages. They're so personalized. But again, being on the receiving end, not that I have received personalized sales messages from you, sadly enough. But being on the receiving end of that, it's the same as what you say with ads. There are marketers standing behind creating those ads thinking, oh my God, they
yeah.
have everything. They have the quantifiable results. Look at those beautiful visuals where our logo is placed. Oh my God. And you on the receiving end, you're like, what is
LinkedIn
this? This is
ads.
so general. And that's the
Yeah.
same on our end, right? Like there's a sales guy writing that and it's like, oh, look, I checked her profile out. I made it personal. I talk into her pains and I'm on the receiving end. Like what? So it's the same way.
It's actually you are being ghosted by masses, right?
Well, but at the same time, when you think about it, it's so much more like acceptable that in marketing you shoot out to a lot of people and what gets around is very little. Where in sales, the expectation is still, you get a much higher turnaround. I think we are coming towards the
Yeah,
end.
no. So actually, for marketing people, yeah, I kind of changed my mind, but not much. We have, we need to do, let's say so 80, 90 more episodes, maybe. I will think that marketing people are actually good people.
I agree. We definitely still have some work to do in the relationship
Yeah.
between sales and marketing to getting from frenemies to best friends. So
Yeah.
let's work on
Yeah.
that.
Thank you too.
Thanks for today.